This is one of my favorite vintage sweaters to wear when it starts getting warm out. I think it's also such a fun spring color, but it is starting to show the fact that it is probably around 80 years old at this point. In order to preserve this sweater and to give myself the option of having it in some more colors, or at least maybe in one other color, I want to see if I can find some sweaters at the thrift store today that I can unravel to use as the yarn for this sweater remake. There are going to be a few things that we have to keep in mind when we're doing this. First of all, the weight of the yarn is important so that we can get the right gauge and fit and drape of the sweater. We need to make sure that it's something that can unravel. I also prefer natural fibers over anything acrylic or polyester. And then we have the added difficulty that we are going into the warmer weather, which means that I don't even know if the thrift store even has a sweater section anymore. So let's cross our fingers and head off to the thrift store and see if there's anything that we can find that would be at all appropriate to remake this sweater. As I was heading into the thrift store, I thought it would be fun to add a little extra challenge of setting myself a goal of not going over $40 for the price of sweaters that I would be unraveling to try to recreate this original sweater. And as I turned the corner, I was actually really relieved because I realized that there was still a section of sweaters left for me to browse through. As I was browsing through the racks, one thing that I'm looking for are the seams, the seam constructions on the sweaters. If you see anything overlocked or serged, then you know that that has been cut and is not a good candidate for unraveling and reusing the yarn. You're looking for chain stitched together edges. That is your best bet. The other thing that I'm looking for is fiber content, of course. I found quite a few sweaters where the tags have been cut out of, which I fully understand. I do the same thing. I'm very, very sensitive to tags. So I usually pass on those, but there was one where it feels so much like wool that I'm willing to take a chance on it, and I want to do a burn test. So this is going to be an interesting one because I want to kind of take bets on if we think that this is a wool sweater or not. So after browsing all the sweater racks and looking at the fiber content and the colors and the yarn weights, I found a few sweaters that I thought would be good candidates to try and recreate my original vintage sweater that I love so much. I ended up getting 4 sweaters, and as I went to the checkout, I did not think that I would be getting this close, but I was amazed. I ended up getting it for, including tax, just under $40. So that was a success. Now that I am home with my haul of sweaters, the first thing that I like to do is always make sure that they didn't come home with any extra passengers. So I like to do it by baking it in the oven because that is a pretty quick method, and because I tend to pick out pieces with mostly natural yarns. There is one mystery yarn in here, but I'm gonna take my chances and I'm just gonna watch it very closely. So let's go ahead and get all of these in the oven. Cross your fingers for me that we're not going to be melting a sweater accidentally or charring anything. I've done that before too. You can do that with a wool. So just be careful when you're doing it this way. The sweaters have all survived the oven, thank goodness. Again, I don't know that I would recommend this, but it worked. I think I'm going to start with these 2 sweaters and do a burn test. I'm also going to find a 100% wool thread so we can do a comparison of a burn test from a 100% wool, a wool acrylic blend, and this mystery sweater, and we will see if we can't determine what this might be. But I just realized that my Unraveler, the clamp is not structurally sound anymore. I should reprint one. It kept on falling off the last time. Let me first set up the 3D printer to print that really quickly so that that can be working while I conduct the burn test. I think this is the best place to set it up. I'm gonna hit go on the print, and then we can go ahead and do the burn test while this print is printing. Also, if you've been seeing these wood planks in the background and what I'm sitting on, and you're wondering what that is, this is an antique barn loom that I just picked up all the way from Vermont and Massachusetts. I'm so excited to put it together. If you want to know more, feel free to subscribe to my Patreon because I'll be putting a little bit more behind the scenes information there, but eventually also on this channel, you'll see more about this antique barn loom. So this is a future video in the making. I'm so excited to share more about it. If you like this little unraveler and want the instructions, I finally wrote them up properly, and I'll send them out for free to anyone on my mailing list. So if you're already signed up or you sign up in the next week, I'll send them out this time, I promise. Which leads me to today's sponsor, Brevo, an all-in-one platform for email marketing, automation, and customer management. Because what sounds like I'll just send an email very quickly turns into keeping track of who signed up, who got the instructions, and who didn't, and that gets messy fast. With Brevo, I can just set up a simple sign up and it automatically sends out the Unravel instructions to everyone who joins. And I can follow up later with updates, new patterns, or projects without having to manually track anything. It's also not just email. You can do things like SMS, automation, and write campaigns and organize everything from one dashboard, which is really nice if you're not trying to become a full-time marketing person, especially if you're kind of like a one-man band for the marketing side of things. So if you're running any kind of creative business or honestly just want a better system, then I'll remember to email people later. This has been really helpful. You can check it out at the link below and use my code to get 50% off the starter and standard plans for the first 3 months. Thank you to Brevo for making videos like this possible, and let's see what the burn test reveals about the sweaters we have got today. I started off by burn testing a 100% cashmere yarn. You can see here that it burns easily and there aren't like little balls left over. It fully comes away when I rub it in my fingers and it turns into char. So that's a sign of a natural fiber. This next sweater we know is a 50-50 blend of wool and acrylic. And so we get char, but we also get this little ball that you can kind of see drops out of my fingers after I rub it together. That's the plastic bit of it melting. This is now our mystery sweater. So what could it be? We are hoping to see some sort of char forming and less of like a plastic ball left over, but as we see it, there's really no char that comes off at all, just these balls of plastic that's melted back. So I'm pretty sure that this is a 100% synthetic sweater material, unfortunately, which is not really the news I was hoping to hear because I love this color and I love this yarn, but I don't exactly know what to do with this sweater now. So instead I went back to the white sweater that we bought, which is a acrylic natural yarn wool blend, and I started unpicking the chain stitch seams in order to get the separate panels to be able to unwind it on our unraveler. Okay, the clamp is reprinted for the Unraveler, so this should be good to go. While that was printing, I also took the second to kind of get the unraveling started for all the different pieces. I think that the collar bit, this bit, is gonna go the easiest. It is just one string that makes up the entirety of this collar. As I was preparing the other panels, the front and back panel and the sleeves, I have a bit of a concern. We'll have to see when we get there. We'll start with the easiest bit, but I have a bit of a concern that we might have to address. I haven't figured out a design solution for it yet, so I might pose that question to you all. But first, let's do the collar and then we'll talk about what the challenge is with the rest of the panels. All right, let's turn it on, see how it works. God! I just created a big knot. Oh no. Oh, and Nutella came in right away to run and check on me. Hi, baby. Thank you. Slow it down just a hair. That speed is a little intense. It's a little felted at the end seams, so the yarn wants to stick a bit. So I kind of have to unstick the yarn. Well, that's not a good sign. I broke that clamp, but we got this off. Looks like that. Isn't it cute? I absolutely love it. I think that looks awesome. Okay, so I need to reprint a clamp, and I guess while that's reprinting, I will tell you what I think the complication is with these other panels. When I was investigating these panels, you can see that there are also 2 yarns coming off of this, but what I think is happening is that they are interchanged. So if this finger is yarn A and this finger is yarn B, what I think is happening is that yarn A is knit for a row and then yarn B is knit for a row. And then, let me start this way. Yarn A is knit for a row, yarn B is knit for a row, then yarn A and then B and then A and then B and then A and then B. So if you try to unravel it and I pull on yarn B, I get stuck here because I can't get past yarn A. So I'm going to have to be unraveling 2 yarns simultaneously. I've done this before. I have the unraveler working on one and I'm manually unraveling the other. So I think I'll be doing something similar for this. But you can see it here. Here's the 2 yarns and they're kind of stacked in terms of the rows that they're coming off of. And if I were just to take the top one and try to unravel that, once I get there, no matter how much I try to pull on that, I'm going to break it before it unravels because I need to take yarn B and then unravel that row first, and then it keeps going. I would like to try to come up with a modification to my design to handle sweaters knit like this, because this is like the 3rd time I've run into it. That's going to require a lot more thinking. Maybe you guys have some ideas. So this is kind of where I put that question to the test for you. Let me go check on the 3D print for the arm replacement, and then we can maybe get started on unraveling a little bit more of these sweaters. We've got the arm replacement on, is we're going to put the first string on the unraveler. So the unraveler is going to handle that one. And then I have my ball winder right here that's going to wind it into a ball. And then we put this end on the ball winder. And then we're just going to go very slow. Okay, so we're stopped. So you have to use the ball winder. Okay. And we're kind of, oop, 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 oop. I accidentally missed. So here we go, unraveling at the same time. And get that going really slowly. I feel like I wish I could look in 2 separate places at once, like a chameleon. Oh my gosh, okay, that was not easy, but we did manage to unravel the sweater. These do need to be washed because it still has the memory of the old stitches in it, right, Nutella? But I'm very excited with the yarn that we got. I think this is gonna be so fun to re-knit into that vintage sweater. So if you wanna see that, feel free to subscribe. If you want the instructions on how to make the unraveler, feel free to sign up for my email newsletter, which is in the link down below. And honestly, also please help me. What should I do with these other ones? I have the one sweater I unraveled that I was hoping would be a natural fiber and is not, so I don't really know what to do with the rest of this sweater. Please tell me any ideas. And I have 2 more that I can unravel in the future whose content I like and the color I like. So maybe I can make another version of the vintage sweater. I'm so excited. Again, thank you so much for watching and for supporting me here. If you enjoyed this video, there's another video here that you might also very much like. Other than that, thank you for spending some of your precious time with me, and I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye!